cruise through lane phase to have a bigger impact later on.
Now, talking about somebody who has a big impact, both positively and negatively, is Lyra. This is a guy who got a little bit exposed on day one of play-ins groups, definitely improved over the next day, and then especially in that tiebreaker game versus UOL. But Lyra could be one of the players that we need to be afraid of, especially when he's staring down the barrel of closer.
I think you actually need to go a bit more aggressive with your language and say, if you are going to attack clutch anywhere, it is in the jungle position. Lyra had a very hit and miss early start of the tournament, but like Armut, he did pick it up on the back half of it.
Yeah, he certainly did. I think that Lyra is in a strange position where throughout the NALCS we saw him take a lot of the tank junglers, like the Skana. We were kind of talking in the pre-show about how this patch doesn't seem to suit that all that much. His Lee Sin did look good, but I think it requires a lot more early game coordination to play around him if that is the kind of pick they want to go to shut down Closer.
And I think it's kind of about different responsibilities between these two junglers. Like Spawn is alluding to, Closer is there to repeatedly gank the lanes, to play that aggressive-oriented dueling jungler. Lee Sin has been his pocket pick that he's gone to on this international stage, whereas Lyra is much more the control, skirmish-oriented jungler. He's there that when they rock up to the 10-minute Rift Herald, that he has the team fight tools, like the Skarner and Pale, like the Kiana, like even maybe a Gragas. Those are the picks I expect him to reach for.
Yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to his particular performance. And shout out to whoever started that Reddit thread. Call back to when Lyra carried the corpses of Envy to LCS through the promotion tournament. That's the Lyra that LCS and Clutch fans will want to be watching. Let's talk about one more player on the RYL side before we move over to the draft. And it's going to be Seal. It looked pretty good on that Twisted Fate. I believe it was in the tiebreaker game, if memory serves correctly. But definitely another player to keep an eye on going up against Demonte.
Yeah, and the reason I want to talk about the Twisted Fate is because Demonte does play a lot of these assassins like the Kiana, and TF used to get destroyed by these picks. However, now with the new build that does have a phage in it, does allow you to get defensive boots, it's quite good into a lot of these picks. Also gives a lot more global control to RYL Youth, and I think that they can utilize that pressure on the map incredibly well through Seal. So I think that's one of the champions to watch from the mid laner of RYL.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I also think, like Spawn, again, is alluding to, it's this idea that Twisted Fate as a pick is kind of a band-aid when you are a weaker team because he allows you to cover weak side very quickly with his ultimate.
Now, we did talk about this matchup a lot in Countdown, and we are nearly ready for picks and bans. I heard Spawn's prediction. 3-1 in favor of Clutch Gaming. Frosk, as you have just joined us, who will win this series and why?
I made my prediction earlier on Twitter. It is also a 3-1. Now, that said, if we see a RYL takeaway here, and on the other side of this, it's RYL that is going to the group stage, I think it has to start with Closer in that jungle, and I think it's about playing that top side of the map. Whatever answer it is that they find to Huni, whether that's camping him and you see Huni feed, or if it's getting a pick to neutralize to make more impact in the team fights and the skirmishes.
Oh, I cannot wait to see what happens. Just before we hit the roof, let's see what Huni had to say about the matchup.
Thanks, guys. Laure here, and joining me right now is Huni. How are you feeling today?
First of all, I think it's gonna be really excited because since it's the last, it's gonna be B5 from playing, and to go to make a group stage, to meet the Fnatic, to meet the SKT, to meet the RNG, I gotta make it.
Wow, many expectations. So what did you think about the draw when you realized that you would have to play against the Turkish team?
Honestly, I was like really not happy because like we actually practiced versus them and it was like they were actually a pretty good team, and at the same time I guess we were also playing kind of like not optimal as much as like we can, but still like they were playing, they know how to play. Like they were like side laners like pretty strong, like bot lane looks pretty decent, like that's why I think. And also they also have a Korean too and looks pretty strong, so we're pretty like not fully confident, but as long as we play well, I think we're gonna get it.
Are you excited nonetheless? I mean, what kind of series do you expect it to be?
Honestly, I don't think it's gonna be like easy, like for sure. It's not like 3-0 or like 3-1 cleanly. Like I'll say it's gonna be like up and down a lot, and we just need to take a calm, you know? We just need to take a chill and just play for ourselves. Just win.
Okay. Some teams said that you were maybe too cocky last week. Do you think that's true?
Honestly, really not. I don't think we were like just playing that well. Like I think we just need a time more to get used to and more getting like experience. I think I'll say also like we're like, I guess we could be like cocky. Like that's the point. That was like part of the. We could have tried harder. We could have just like fixed it way earlier, and just trusting that we could play better. But instead, like we kind of didn't like probably did optimally. I think we could have done a better job for that. But I think still we improve a lot from there. And I'd rather lose actually at the group and, you know, just win at the knockout.
We'll see how it goes for you today then. Now, tell me about the matchup on top lane. You're going to be facing Armut. What do you think about him as a player?
Actually, he's like, sometimes I actually impressed like how he play. Like he's like pretty smart player. At the same time, he's also he has like pretty strong lane phases too. Like his mechanics is actually pretty good, but unfortunately, he's versus Huni, you know, so he won't be able to win.
Nice confidence, I like this. Thank you very much, Huni, and good luck on the game today. Now back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Law. Wise words there from Huni. We just have to win, he says. And I think that's a strategy that could be employed by most teams here at World.
Yeah, it just makes it sound so easy, you know. Unfortunately, he's going to be going up against Huni. I like the confidence that comes out of him. An exciting player to watch.
It's going to be very, very interesting to watch that top lane, Huni versus Armut. But let's introduce ourselves first. I'm Medic. This is Ejim. We're here for Clutch Gaming versus RYL Youth, of course. Both these teams had a pretty similar pathway into the play-in knockouts.
Yeah, interestingly, right? Like a lot of fans disappointed with the first day from Clutch and they were struggling and then definitely did bounce back, and it cannot be understated on the other side of the rift. RYL Youth actually started the group stage in a 0-3 scenario, then ended up going 2-1 in the head-to-head versus Flamengo to get themselves here into this matchup, and we're into champ select already.
There we are. Clutch Gaming decided they wanted the blue side to start off this best of 5. They found a way. The Lee Sin, Kiana once again, a blue side ban here from Clutch, and Pantheon and Syndra are the red side bans from RYL Youth.
And yeah, as the tournament has progressed, Syndra gone up and up in priority. Pantheon just kind of cementing himself as a red side ban. You saw it in the last series, people opting into blue side, just so you have some flexibility in what happens in the first 3 bans at the start of this one to set yourself up for that success.
It's always a little bit surprising to see Clutch ban things like the Kiana and the Aurelia, especially Huni's really the only Aurelia we've seen so far this tournament. He absolutely popped off on it against the Unicorns of Love. The Kiana is a Demonte special, and now Lyra is getting his Elise that he's won 2 games on so far this tournament.
Yeah, and we're looking at the jungle matchup, right? Lyra picks himself up the Elise, but the Kiana ban is going towards Closer, I believe. The man on your screen had a super, super big Kiana performance in the group stage. It was like 5-2, 3 levels down, just one hitting LeBlanc's in the side lane. So Clutch certainly, where people are saying maybe they're coming in to the playoffs a little bit cocky, paying their respects to their opponent in the first game of this best of 5.
They definitely are. The Olaf will be locked in here for RYL Youth. We'll see what they decide to round out their composition, their first set of picks with. Of course, Olaf can be jungle, can be top lane.
Yeah. Flexible-ish.
Ish.
But I like it as a lock-in for Closer. He's a guy that likes to play super aggressive in the early game. Frost was kind of saying in the analyst desk, the analyst standy point, the end of the hallway with a big bunch of screens behind him, that he likes to get down and dirty in the early game. And Olaf into an Elise, once you have that Ragnarok, you could just go forwards. They hovered the Renekton for just a little second there. If they get a melee matchup, then kind of the Bass Bros just diving into the backline is a successful strategy we've seen from them so far.
And Clutch deciding in the AD carry position, they prefer the Kai'Sa over the Xayah. We have seen Cody Sun play Kai'Sa once so far in play-ins. He won on that game, teaming up with a Nautilus. That's a very strong bottom lane, but RYL Youth have a bit of aggression on their side as well. Draven and Lucian, the hovers for this AD carry pick.
Ooh, cheeky little look at an Ashe. Varus, I think, is a little bit more unlikely, but they're sticking around for it.
Well, we'll see if they do decide to lock it in. It's not something we've seen too often, but it does give you a lot of lane presence, gives you a lot of push. Instead, in the end, the LeBlanc will be locked in for Seal in the mid lane. He's played that once so far, went 6, 4, and 5.
So, not going to lock themselves in an AD carry. You would expect maybe the likes of that Lucian. Draven is a little bit of an extreme, but that's to get banned away here from Clutch. The mismatches in terms of the mid matchup locked in from the side of RYL Youth. And Lissandra, the ban that will come through, is something that was a little bit contentious in terms of where that champion is at. Meta read all over the place, but has been a long time answer to LB. And Seal definitely going to pay his respects in this one here.
Camille being banned out as well by Clutch, so they think that Olaf is definitely going into the jungle to match up versus the Elise. As you say, the Lissandra, a commonly chosen counter pick into the LeBlanc, and we'll see where RYL decide to go with their final ban. I'm surprised to see Clutch not actually targeting AD carries with their bans.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Camille's going to hit the deck, and yeah, there was the Draven hover, the Lucian hover. There are a bunch of options, and even the mages, like the Syndra is banned, of course, but you have maybe the Cassio if you wanted to go full extreme down on the bottom side to deal with something like the Kai'Sa. For Clutch, Cody really is that like late game insurance policy. They like to play top side. Once he gets through like a safe mid game, gets towards his 3-item spike, then really does come online. So Kai'Sa is a bit of it like a nothing pick, won't do much for a very long time, but it's just stable there, and the response is really going to be here on the hands of Royal Youth.
Scales really well, is safe when you get that ultimate as well, the big shield helping you out quite a lot. Draven is the final ban from Clutch, and now we'll start to see where Royal Youth want to target in a pick ban phase.
And it has to be an 80 carry. If you're going to blind your top lane and just get counter-picked by Huni on the other side and then have to deal with an Elise, it certainly could be troublesome, but Jinx going to get locked in.
Yeah, this isn't something that Pilots played at all in summer, so I was a little bit surprised by it. My gasp of aspiration, but there's Lucian as well. That could be mid Lucian, could be mid Kai'Sa. Rumble probably going up towards the top lane.
Yeah.
We've seen that banned against Clutch a lot of times already this tournament.
And already, it was like a super quick lock-in. This was an expected play coming through. The Lucian, the Rumble, insta-locked by their respective players here in Royal Youth. 10 seconds left on the decision to be made. What are they going to throw up towards the top side?
Yeah, the question is, do you think you're dealing with a Rumble or a Lucian, really? Because if you think you're dealing with a Lucian, picking something that can be harassed down could be very dangerous. It's Kled for Armut. It is the 5th time he's played that in summer, one of his most played, so he's very comfortable on it. But will Demonte be picking the Lucian in mid, or will Huni take it up towards the top side? That's the big question here.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They've got until 20 seconds before that does get locked in.
What would you be thinking right now? What would your decision be?
I think Rumble on the top side may fare a little bit better in terms of like the mid matchup as well, right? Like LeBlanc with an Olaf just running into you on the Rumble could be a very difficult time, and we'll see where they want to throw that one. But I like that Royal Youth kind of stood their ground. They just locked in the composition. They've got a late game insurance policy in that Jinx being picked up from Pilot, and top side of the map, they've got all of the buttons they need to look for these fights, and I think there's going to be a very scrappy start to this series here.
It definitely is. Demonte on Lucian mid, running Ignite as well. Not really taking any prisoners in the first game of this best of 5. It's the first time he's played it. The only other AD carry he's played in the mid lane is the Tristana once, alongside Corki, if you count Corki once. But Clutch Gaming coming out swinging early on here. We'll see if Royal are able to match them.
Yeah, and the one thing that I really do like about Lucian into LB is he has a bunch of options. Lucian, more of a spell flinger AD carry than most. He doesn't just right-click all the time, but if you go for the Bork when the LB distorts in, if you know you want to get the fight, it's the active coming down, the dash forward, the commit for the full extended trade. Of course, this is like 1-2 items deep before he gets to that point, but yeah, certainly creative stuff coming out in the first game of this best of 5 here from Clutch.
Here we go, on to Summoner's Rift. The LCS taking on the TCL, North America, up against the might of Turkey. These teams have only met 3 times in the past. It's a 2-1 to NA so far, and I'm sure Royal will want to upset that. They've never met in knockouts. Neither of these teams have ever been eliminated by the other, but we'll see if Clutch Gaming and Royal Youth can make their way to World's Groups today.
30 seconds of convenience.
And already, Lyra on the Elise. Going to go for the classic jungle, place a ward in. Dot Bush go back by himself a sweeper, so that he has some access to clearing out that vision the opponents will place down. Of course, Elise known to be an early game ganker. If you get those off, then snowballing out of control. When you have lanes like the Rumble, like the Lucian with Ignite, this could take over the game, but you have to say it could be matched. This is a very, very interesting start to this one, and Closer, the man on your screen right now, has just been a big proponent for this Royal Youth lineup.
He really has, and that battle between the junglers is a story we'll see play out throughout the best of 5, because Lyra really struggled on anything that wasn't Elise in the group stage of play-ins. He went 10, 2, and 12 on the Elise, and on everything else, he was just dying all of the time. But Closer actually performed from day one against Damwon in their first game. He was the guy finding assassinations on the Kiana. So we'll see if he's able to match Lyra in the early jungle in this game.
Yeah, and it has been kind of interesting to track. Of course, Lyra's been shying away from his most played champion in the Skarner. It's been a long time since we've seen that one, and yeah, as you mentioned, we'll have to kind of keep an eye on the matchup as it does play out. Does Closer want to go for the fancy clear? You can aggro the Gromp on the side, do your blue buff. You get incredibly low, maybe not willing to risk something like that against anything that Clutch has put together.
Of course, one of the clears that really only works on Olaf, because the lower you go, the more attack speed you have, and then you can lifesteal up through the vicious strikes. It makes it pretty easy for an Olaf to get early clear. Vulcan not going to hit the Q there. Demonte trading here onto Seal, who pops a potion. That's a passive gone down as well. Tolerant stunned up just a tad, but Cody Sun is being harassed by the RYL bottom lane.
Yeah, and this kind of game is almost a jungler's dream and a nightmare at the same time. You speak to professional junglers, they go onto like the world stage, a performance with so much gravitas behind it, and then everybody doesn't go for the hard trains in lane, but you can see already mid lane, bottom lane, everybody opting in early and ability to come in and clean up. Of course, we're only like 2.5 minutes into this game, but yeah, certainly looks like one where there will be tons of options.
Oh, I love it when people say things like that. I love it when people tell me there's going to be a lot of action early on. That's a play-by-play's dream. Top lane is a lane that the analyst desk focused on just a tad because, of course, Huni has so consistently been the carry for Clutch throughout the regular season, the player that his team plays around. And Armut, after having a disappointing start to Worlds, has actually really stepped up as well. So we'll see if he and Closer can combine, because that Rumble is relatively easy to gank early on.
Yeah, because it's kind of twofold. For Armut, I really like the confidence in interviews. Behind the scenes, like speaking to Law, and he's a player that, at least to the English-speaking audience, right, like coming out is like, yeah, you know what I mean, like down one, that's a super tough situation, but against their opponents, like, yes, maybe we do lose to Flamengo early, then we will ramp back towards the rest of the tournament. Closer does actually get some eyes on Huni here, pathing down the river against a ward. Lyra's on the other side of the map as well. This could be somewhat interesting. Huni is going to get spotted out by the scrying plant.
And the question here is who can react quicker to this? Because Huni is getting pushed away. Closer doesn't have Smite. Can Seal come across? You see Armut coming down from the top lane. Huni maybe caught out just a little bit. Lyra on his way. Demonte going in for the fight. Clutch want this one. Closer already down to half HP. Seal flashing in, but Closer's gonna fall first. First blood to Demonte. It's Tanner time early on here. Seal getting chased away as well. That's 2. Demonte has fallen, but Lyra and Huni are on the chase. Armut takes a harpoon to the back, and is he gonna be able to get away? No flash left. A great joust will get him to safety for now.
And all over the first spawn of the Scuttle Crab in the top side, you see Closer, he was tracking Huni down the river, everybody opting in for that play, but 2 for 1 at the end of the day. Lyra cleans up the Crab off the back end, and yeah, Clutch certainly feeling good about the start to this one.
Yeah, get about a 700 gold lead just off that. Getting the kill onto Demonte means he can harass Seal a lot easier in that mid lane. Summoners burnt across the board. No flashes left on the top side of the map. Means that those future ganks become a lot easier as well for both junglers.
And it's interesting with how this play progresses. Rumble is one of those champions that almost guarantees you prio on the top side of the map. That's why Huni has so much time to just wander down the river. He stands there, hits S, whilst just flamethrowering the Olaf, and this is kind of the detriment of the Olaf. You have to commit, you have no get out of jail free cards at the back end, and at least being second to the play feels very, very nice with the Cocoon. Top side though, okay.
Vulcan, bottom. So low, Seal going in for this. Vulcan, one more auto might be enough. They can't quite get him. He just about survives. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Armut is being focused down by Lyra and Huni. There's no
the remount.
to go. He remounts. The joust has already been used. There's one harpoon. They can go for the dive. It's pretty easy. Spiderling coming in. Lyra looking to sink in the banks. Dismount. Lyra's gonna fall as well. A 1-for-1 trade in the top lane.
By the skin of their teeth, almost everybody walking away, but Clutch have to trade on the top side. Bottom side of the map though, Royal Youth closing in on this Infernal Dragon. Zero contest, and that's a real good time. After what was a failed bot dive, you get all the summoners are out, but Nautilus just with a sliver of HP walks away from the play. It's not fruitless. Walking away with an Infernal Dragon is a super good time.
Benefit for Clutch in the mid lane is that Demonte had some time to farm up by himself. He's about 15 to 16 CS ahead in that lane now. And Seal not getting anything out of his roams is going to cost him as the game does progress.
As we will take another look at how this started on the top side. Notice the pink ward gets placed so Lyra knows he is in fog of war right now. Walks out of the bush, a slight mistake, so the Cocoon knows, Armut knows rather, where the Cocoon is coming from, but just a hard commit. Remount on just 0 HP. And that does mean that the Elise at the end of the day has to trade her life for the kill.
Oh, Vulcan's going to face check straight into Closer here. Long range zap is going to connect, and Vulcan really has nowhere to go. Teleport coming in here from Clutch. They're going to try and turn it around. Vulcan falls first. Here comes Huni. But look at RYL. They just get the hell out of there.
Yeah, TP comes through, but Huni doesn't have his R available. The Equalizer not to be seen in this play. Closer cancelling his recall. He knows the dive could be here. Lyra showed on the wall.
Does Huni have ult? No. No Equalizer. Demonte's on his way down, has the culling, but are they really going to look for this? That's so dangerous.
If that hook landed, that could have been a kill onto Cody Sun. One of those situations where, yes, you are being the aggressor, you have members behind them, but they can just run forwards onto you, then the play gets completely flipped on its head. And Look, we're 7 minutes in. There's been skirmishes, dives all over the place.
I love it. 6 kills in 7 minutes. This is the sort of League of Legends I want to watch.
Double Infernal spawn as well in 3.5 minutes. For compositions like the ones these two teams have opted into here for Game 1, it's kind of the dream scenario. It's exactly what you want. Damage galore all over the place and everybody fighting for everything.
And I do want to bring our attention back to some of the key points we looked at early on in this matchup. We said top lane was going to be a key impacting factor on people getting ahead. And Armored is so important for RYL as he comes in with the Skull Charge. That's what it's called.
I think you were trying to say he was going into Narnia.
That is exactly what I was trying to say. But you can see Armut here, in wins, if he gets ahead, his team is much more likely to win. But when he falls behind early on, RYL tend to just lose out bit by bit by bit in these games. So him having 2 kills early on, him not being too far behind Huni in CS is a very good sign for RYL.
Yeah, and you can see the forward percentage as well there. Was a positive one, so spends a little bit of time. The opponent's side of the map, of course, does get played around by RYL Youth. Huni has spent so much time just being proactive on the top side of the map. The flank down the river is now looking to pick on
All
the
of Clutch
overlap.
are here.
This is all 5 members rotating to mid lane.
Everyone is in the mid lane right now. Armut's going to meet up with Huni, who has the equalizer. At the moment, he's overheated. Lyra on his way across. Close is still only level 5. Doesn't have the Ragnarok if he gets caught out with a cocoon. Red buff started up here by Clutch, and Demonte's coming across. Should be an easy enough secure now for Clutch. They forced RYL out of their red side jungle.
Yeah, one of those unfortunate situations. You see how much time Close has spent just kiting around his red buff, wanting to find access, wanting to find a way in, but mid lane pushing here for Demonte now goes back and gets himself the Cutlass, so this LeBlanc matchup, now that there really hasn't been jungle intervention in the isolated 1v1, there's been skirmishes around, they've both left lanes and rotated all over the place, but this is just such a forgiving build, and with the ability to just isolate, he's been pushing up and walking everywhere.
So there's a really interesting decision being made here by Clutch. If you look at the minimap, you can see they brought their bot lane up into top side, and they've allowed the bot lane of RYL to push in bot. This actually means that RYL can control that total bot side river with the Infernal coming up in a minute and a half time. What Clutch get out of this is Rift-held control, which is what they always want. But my question to you is, would you take it in this situation?
Yeah, I think it is a hard one, right? Because when you're thinking about, we've seen the low-key series, they go for the lane swap. Rumble was like the old champion of I will just eat away if you try and play on the bottom side of the map. And yes, I am just a one guy chilling underneath the turret and you guys are looking for it. Equalizer can be so impactful.
RYL swapping into it because the question is moot in the end, but it was an interesting thought experiment there for a second, Ejim.
And it is something that teams have done to Clutch this tournament already. Like if we're saying the 10-minute Clutch Rift Herald, NA teams are saying it, all of the emerging regions come in and their opponents, they know this is the expected play. And matching on the top side of the Rift means that RYL are looking to match here.
No one stepped in that bush.
Fight.
No one stepped in the bush. There was a control ward in it. Now they spot it out. So RYL, as you say, are matching. Armut, of course, has an easier way to get in the fight as his charge is coming off cooldown pretty soon. And RYL might look for this one as the Rift Herald has been started up by Clutch.
Yeah, Pilot left alone, catching a wave on the top side though. Clutch will start this one up, but for the Jinx, it will be a long way walking around to the rest of his team, and it looks like a concede.
They've just given it up. They've accepted that Clutch have control over the Rift Herald. They'll push out mid instead. Fight is starting here. Tuni was hooked in. Armut on the front line. There's a lantern there for him to grab, but the equalizer comes down. Charge away from Armut. Jinx not there with the team yet. Rift Herald already secured by Lyra. So Clutch get what they want, but now RYL have the path down towards this Infernal Dragon.
Do Clutch actually want to go for the contest? They can drop the Herald mid, force them to react to the play. You see Jinx being split off once again. Pilot just defending it. Will be the second Infernal Dragon, so not an easy decision to make, but hooks on.
Only onto Vulcan. Rift Herald is going to charge in mid. Demonte. Seal has to flash away from him, and that should be a mid lane tower here for Clutch. You see the sequence of events. You see the decision-making between these two teams. Do we fight for the Rift Herald? If not, we go for Infernal, but then we might lose our mid lane tower. They have been able to hold on to it for the moment, but Clutch have, because of those turret plates, got quite a substantial lead. 1,500 gold ahead at the 11-minute mark.
Yeah, substantial? It's kind of contentious here, I think, right? Like, if you look at the compositions that have been locked in, you have the Elise, you have the Rumble, they've made a lot of things happen early, but Majority of them have been a even-ish trade, and given you're only 12 minutes into the game, double Infernal picked up 1.5k gold lead. Yes, like at 10 minutes, that's significant, but for a Jinx, if she gets between like this 10 to 20, 25 minute mark,
Yeah.
double Infernal is just straight up in the bank. Like that's damage just chilling there waiting for you to hit those item spikes.
Is that trading decision-making we talk about, playing the side of the map that the enemy isn't on to try and get these small advantages.
Yep.
You give up a Rift Herald to get an Infernal, maybe lose some plates on your mid lane tower, but it's the sacrifice. How much gold is 2 Infernals worth?
And it's one of those things that you like to see. Games of League of Legends really suck when one team is like, oh, okay.
Flash! Hook! Cody flashes away. Pilot's on the chase here. The zap does connect. Looking for some more damage onto Vulcan, but isn't going to be able to put too much more down. Flash for Flash in the mid lane. Cody Sun is low.
Hook. Very nice.
Hook lands onto Vulcan. The flay coming out. Lyra's off towards the side of this, but the Super Mega Death Rocket isn't quite going to connect. Lyra is up towards the bottom of the fight, but Close is on his way in as well.
Here's
Huni
the
has
flank.
the equalizer. This is not good for Royal. They are caught up. The jump in from Close, he takes down one. The flash away from Pilot. Teleport coming in here as Armut is going to join the fight, but really in the end, Royal get a kill and they get out.
Yeah, Clutch just cannot continue the play. No CC between everyone. Rumble ulti already coming down. The turret is incredibly low, but Seal wandering down and...
Still holding on.
Okay.
Take that. Royal going to be able to back away. Infinity Edge on its way for Pilot. He has a BF sword and a pickaxe. Armut takes a culling to the face, but the Lantern! Dark passage to salvation there, as Armut was very much going to die if he didn't get that help from his support.
And okay, a couple of things. First of all, Demonte, Lucian skin, top notch, great job, congratulations. You've done the right thing heading into this one. But as I was kind of saying, like the trading back and forth, League of Legends hurts to watch when one team is just like being proactive, they're forcing fights, the other is in that situation where they want to respond but just can't, and somebody walks away with everything. That's how you get very one-sided games, like one team just steamrolls over the other, but in a game like this where everybody's opting into early game proactivity, skirmishes all over the place, and you have the gold for Infernal trade, can get super sketchy. Seal has no idea.
Huni doesn't have flash, but Vulcan's on his way up. There's this first distortion used. Now here comes Huni with the harpoons. Vulcan coming in from the side. Seal trying to flash away, but there's nowhere for him to go. This LeBlanc is not long for the rift. Huni burns him down. And Clutch get their 4th kill of the game.
And that's exactly what makes Huni a good player. Like those creative uses of vision, just waiting, biding his time, looking for the pick. Tolerant. Can he get in flash range? Flay range, I should say.
Looking for the hook, but Cody some of the great killer instinct to dodge it. Demonte going in and Tolerant is already done. Vulcan coming in from the side as well, and he lands the hook on Pilot. Cocoon to follow. Equalizer not even needed, but Huni will take the kill in the end.
And
Clutch
second,
and come alive.
Mid-lane fight gets cleaned up by Clutch. The turret they invested in earlier. Now going to get taken down. Gold advantage their way again.
And this is where we see Clutch upping that tempo from the early gold lead, getting those first completed items before Royal were able to react. And because of that, they're now able to take towers, get more kills. Oof. And you can see just how strong Clutch are right now.
Yeah, did you see the gold lead in the mid lane? That's approaching the 2k mark. Demonte is absolutely massive. This is the Thresher's worst nightmare. You're going for the hook. Very nicely played from Cody Sun. Gets himself to safety. Tolerant with no flash just dies immediately off the end of the play. And every time Clutch have been proactive, it has been a 5-member resource commit. They're all rotating to the play. Huni comes down the flanks from both sides and get the picks, get the objectives, and get themselves out of there.
And at the 15-minute mark, Clutch have a 3,000 gold lead. Demonte just absolutely shredding through Tolerant. There's nowhere for the Thresh to go. Demonte 3-1-0 on this Lucian, really showing up here in the first game of this best of 5.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was saying. Gets the Cutlass by, no junglers interacting. The fact that Lyra was forcing plays and Closer was kind of reacting in the early game means that he was just left alone with a LeBlanc, and as this lead gets bigger and bigger, he's going to become a problem to deal with. You see Royal Youth sending the LeBlanc to the top side, being thrown to Huni as the next dragon spawns.
And Mountain Dragon here for Clutch. Really nothing Royal can do about this. They had some control over the Drake Pit early on in the game, but now everything is in Clutch's grasp. Royal have been stalling over the last few minutes, and Clutch are the ones to continue to make those proactive plays. And I think that's what we expect to see over the next 5 minutes or so as well. It will be Clutch trying to find the picks. But has Demonte met his match? In goes Armut. Demonte trying to trade in, but look at the damage. Armut just absolutely shreds through him. Demonte able to get away. And Armut unable to chase. Seal here, the equalizer doesn't quite connect. Needed a hook or something first from Vulcan to hold him in place.
Yeah, you hate to see it. Unfortunately, going to go a little bit wide there. Bottom lane was a respectful decision there from Armut. Doesn't go for the flash trade, knowing the dash from Lucian was coming up in a few seconds. He had a flash of his own, so does get a chunk out on the very fed member right now, and pick on the top side was not to be.
Wasn't quite able to work through it, and Clutch just continues to rattle off these items. Manamune finished for Cody Sun. He's building up towards the Ginsu's, the Blade of the Ruin King, and a BF Sword for Demonte. Leandri's complete on Huni. He's getting himself up towards that Zhonya's. It's going to be very hard to deal with them for the next few minutes, but parts of their composition do fall off as the game develops. Rumble, always one of those champions that we talk about having a very strong mid-game, but not too strong as the game goes on. And if you look at the side of RYL, I always like a jinx when you get towards late game team fights.
We have seen in this tournament already just the late game insurance policy coming up clutch, for lack of a better word. Could come up RYL for this one. But yeah, it is kind of interesting. The one big thing as we are kind of heading towards that 20-minute mark, in the composition of Clutch, it's hard to close the game if the other team doesn't want to fight you, right?
Okay.
Like starting up a Baron with an Elise, Nautilus isn't going to get tanky. They don't have anyone that can just freely like look for the objective. It really is like, can they find the fights they need to blow open this game and then force the end before something like Double Infernal Jinx comes online? I will say, that's a long way away. We're at 18 minutes. Big Purple Worm hasn't even spawned yet, but these are going to be the things in the back of their minds. They're doing a great job at cementing this gold lead and ever so slowly creeping this one up and up, but
that's also the point at which Clutch have to start thinking about vision control as well. They did it so well in their regional gauntlet versus TSM. They found good flanks for Demonte in fights. They found good areas where they could get behind the enemy team without them spotting them. And you can see Huni's done it a couple of times this game already. What I'd like to see is a few more control wards in those inventories, clear out some of this royal vision, especially around the Baron, because you can do it relatively fast, although you will fall quite low. And then really set up to make RYL come to you, have to face check you so you can start these fights.
yeah, and you do have to respect it. Like the way they've been fighting fights already means, as an LCS fan, you look at this game and you do think positive thoughts about the trajectory, right? Yeah. They've been able to force things already. They don't have really anything to play over right now. You can see the deploy is top side of the map. Huni gets flipped, does have TP that is matched by Armut on the other side. So if a fight breaks out towards the top side of the map, both of them can join. But this last remaining outer turret being pressured, everybody rotating up.
I mean, Armut does know he can buy full items from the shop, right? Because at the moment he's got Tiamat, Hex Drinker, Ninjas, a Ruby, a Kindle Gem, and a No Magic Mantle. You can combine some of those into full items.
Yeah, he's just working on it.
Yeah, he's on his way, I guess. But he's had a relatively good performance as of yet, and now Clutch almost 5,000 gold in the lead. You said they're playing up towards the top side. Is a pretty strong area for them. When you have both your AD carries on the top side of the map, both of them almost at 2 items, Seal really can't defend by himself. And closer on this Olaf, unable to get anywhere near the fight. Demonte just keeps him away.
Yeah, it's a very difficult defense there. LeBlanc struggles to defend turrets because she has to play in the wave to be able to wave clear, right? Like, yes, you have a Ludens, you'll get a Q bounce, but really distorting on the backline is what you have, and if Clutch are putting all their resources up there, you expect them to be able to break that one. So now the entire outer ring has been broken pre-Baron. All of the boxes are being checked for a composition like this. You see the 2-item spikes now being hit from Lucian. Kai'Sa just waiting on the transform there. Leandri's completed, and Huni's just kind of done at this point. Like he's got the magic pen.
Full build.
Yep, TP into a team fight is exactly what he's looking for. And I mentioned it could be difficult to take down the Baron if their setup isn't crisp. Setups have been looking pretty crisp so far.
Just want to get some vision control in that RYL jungle. RYL, on the other hand, continue just to try and stall out the game.
Yes.
They just want to get this one towards 3 items on that Jinx, 2.5, 3 items on the LeBlanc as well, and then get Armut in a good position to flank for a team fight. Close is going to face check straight into Lyra here. Just chunked out a tad. Olaf, not the tankiest of jungle tanks.
It's one of those situations where you have to hit the oh crap button, and that's kind of the decision or not. Like, do you pop ulti and run away, or are you just fine to chill and then walk away? That was
or pop the ulti and run in.
That's the Chad move.
Second dragon of the game for Clutch here as they take down the Ocean pretty handily. Armut has been playing weak side of the map for a long time, and you can see Clutch have had a lot of vision control just around this area, really making it difficult for RYL to do anything with it. And RYL actually looking for their first tower of the game up to top. Will get themselves just that little bit more gold in their back pockets. But It is, as you said, it's heartening to see if you're an LCS fan. Clutch do this early game as well as they have done. I think there were questions as to the strength of RYL coming out of their group, because when you've got Damwon, Flamengo, and RYL in a group, it's debatable how powerful that group is.
Who's good? How good are they?
Exactly. And so
Not many opponents to compare to.
I think a lot of people came into this series expecting Clutch to be the favorites, but thinking that RYL really could put up a challenge.
And I think the big thing from this game so far in the hands of Clutch is I think it's been a very respectable performance. We've seen in this tournament alone super over-aggression from the likes of Huni, super underwhelming performances from the likes of Lyra. We've seen like very proactive and then very non-proactive playstyles like when they played versus Mammoth. And it's like, where do they land in a best of 5? Interviews with Demonte is like, yeah, we've been experimenting with stuff, but eventually they do have like the fallback pattern to go with what we've been seeing. And up against their opponents this far, I feel like they've really tempered themselves, and this is a very good style of League of Legends that this team is playing right now, and they're not fumbling at really any point.
I think the next step is the one that I really want to see them be effective on, because this is where you can see RYL fighting very hard to maintain control of their own jungle. Clutch not being able to get in there yet, and as we've said, they really need RYL to go for the fight. They really need RYL to face check into them if they're going to be able to get one of these big fights later on, because they don't have too many engaged tools. Really, you're looking for a flank maybe on Armored in the bottom lane. You're looking for an equalizer on the back of a team fight to chunk people out. And now Clutch are trying to set up, but Armored being very, very respectful, very safe as he backs away in the lane.
Yeah. And I'll bring it back to what I said earlier, right? This Baron is the big window for Clutch to reasonably be able to explode this game open, and simultaneously is the most difficult point of the game to play here from Royal Youth. They have to just stall out as long as possible, and the one thing that you could see going wrong here for Clutch is the fact that Huni really is their catalyst for action. Yep. He makes things happen. Like, Vulcan looks very good on the likes of like a Rakan, and he's second to the play. Huni goes in. On the back end of like an Akali, dives into multiple members, and then there's the follow-up for the rest of the team. And in this sort of situation, you've seen what Clutch just did. Set up the Baron, get their vision, float all their resources to Huni, then just walk him back to the Baron pit. So for a team like this trying to execute around the Baron buff right now, they're just trying to bring Huni to the play.
And you can see why that's so important for them. Huni has the most damage of the most damage share of his entire team at 33%. Demonte's last at 18%. Yep. So you have to be playing around Huni really to get your team ahead if you're Clutch. And he's such a key catalyst for the team, which is why we bring it up so often. First tower of the game over to RYL. They are 5,000 gold behind as the game ticks on piece by piece. And Clutch Gaming will be wanting to look for a catalyst for their play. They want to look for a trigger that they can pull, because right now RYL are very happy just waiting out the game in this lull state.
Yeah, and a couple of big buys did just come through. Huni gets himself a Void Staff. I actually didn't see how he purchased that, but I think that may have just been a straight-up completed item. That one's done. You see a BF sword in the hands of Lucian. Kai'Sa hits the transform as well, so everything coming online, and the map state is good. Huni already getting the push, rotating over.
The difficulty is you have wards like this just sitting at the top of the pit, and it makes it very difficult for Clutch to start anything without RYL realizing it's going on. Demonte might face check into 2 people in the top side. Seal could jump in. RYL deciding they don't want a piece of that action right now and backing away, and now Clutch are getting that deep vision we keep talking about.
Oh, do they go for the pick onto the 2 up here? Vulcan is in. Can he get the LeBlanc? Ah, gets the wall. That was the worst target. We didn't want that one.
Well, I mean, yes. I was trying to think of a funny joke, but I got nothing. Got nothing, I'll admit. Pilot caught out just a little bit here. Tolan doesn't have the lantern, brings it up just in time. The hook doesn't connect, but Huni burns his flash, burns the equalizer, gets both summoners out of Pilot. Armored on the wrong side of this one as he's going to have to back away. Does still have the charge if he needs it, but Huni shouldn't be able to chase him down too easily. And RYL able to hold off the Clutch advances for the moment.
Yes, for the moment. That is the key thing. No kills. Oh, lots of damage on both sides now, but a bunch of vision control on the top side of the map. Clutch just laying claim to that quadrant of their jungle, and next dragon will be spawning in just about 30 seconds. We've been talking a lot about Baron, but nobody's found themselves a fight, found themselves an ability to start that one up, and a couple of Ocean Dragons just have been the prize here for Clutch.
And they're going to get their second, which is always a bonus. You know, double Ocean can give you a lot. Early on, we talked about the double Infernals for RYL. That's only going to get better as the game goes on, so it's that balancing act of what you trade for what you take. Clutch trying to set up around the Ocean here, but it looks like for the moment, actually, RYL will have control. Remember, no equalizer, no flash on Huni. Cocoon's going to land on closer, doesn't pop the Ragnarok. And Clutch will try and regain just that little bit of vision. Now they can path up towards the Baron.
That could have been a big opportunity, but Huni lacking the cooldown on the equalize. You can see pings almost immediately. The wards we pointed out earlier have died, so complete vision supremacy here around the Baron pit. And RYL very tentatively contesting this one.
Closer does have the flash, can go
Rocket.
Super Mega Death Rocket, doesn't connect. Vulcan on the chase, the cocoon hits, and that is the thresh down. Tournament forwards, Armor caught out. Depth shot's gonna land, but Seal across the wall could look for jumping in. Armor dismounts, Closer lands an undertow. Cody's done, jumps onto the back line, assassinates Armor, and now is looking for the chase onto Seal. He flashes forward, Seal has to flash away. Clutch find two and turn their eyes back towards the big purple worm.
Find exactly the fight they're looking for. Top and support gonna die off the back end of this one. Pink Ward's still in the pit. Very difficult to be able to get into this one, and Olaf without a flash is, even if it was in the area, not going to be anything to play with right now. So Clutch now with Baron, couple of dragons, a huge gold lead cementing themselves in the first game of this best of 5.
And this is what you wanted to see from Clutch. Patient, methodical play.
Yes.
They waited for the misplay from RYL. They waited till they could force the Baron, and then they caught their man.
And Baron does exactly what you want for this composition. They force them into the chokes, the equalizer, the hook so easy to land on multiple members. And even with Kai'Sa, Cody-san just flies into the backlines, but Closer and Seal just have to run away. There's no contest here, no way they can turn around and dish back any sort of damage, and that's it, just good stuff.
A-okay play there.
A-okay.
That's what Clutch will want to do. Methodical, you can see, really, RYL weren't involved in that fight. All they were doing was running away. They were split across two portions of the map.
And the big thing I want to highlight with these damage charts, think about Kled, Olaf, LeBlanc. 3 champions that if they're going forwards, do lots of damage. When they're going backwards, running away, do negative damage.
Not so much damage.
You're sitting at a 250 mark, is not where you want to be. Oh, okay.
That's a great cocoon. Still lands as Seal tries to disengage. He's going to jump away even though the lantern was there. That's a support nightmare. Dardoch says it's Tanner time, therefore I must awake and celebrate. It's been pretty Tanner time this game. Demonte's had an exceptional performance on the Lucian. Now has his Infinity Edge complete. And Clutch pushing in 2 lanes with that 2-1 split. And Vulcan and Lyra just roaming through the jungle, finding catches where they can. This will be the outer, the tier 2 turrets in mid and bottom falling.
This is exactly what you want to see. Dragon is up, but not really a priority at this point. Culling will force the Kled to run into Narnia topside. That's going to be an equalizer, though, just to force them off the turret.
Pilot forced away. Demonte in the mid lane, chipping away at that tower as well. Bottom lane, Inhib tower
Flash.
will fall. Tolerant flashes forward. Huni goes gold, and Tolerant will pop his stopwatch as well. And here comes the charge from the side. Last chance saloon, you have to deal for RYL. Can the Jinx stay alive? Seal, only man left alive on the back line here for RYL. He's chased out by Cody-san. Armor running for the wins as well. Clutch have destroyed RYL in this first game, dismantled and demolished them. It's looked perfect from Clutch. They have just absolutely dominated the map, and they will go 1-0 up in this series. They're playing with their food just a tad as Armut forced back to the fountain. But Tanner time is well and truly here in Europe as he falls to the fountain. In the end, the Nexus goes down and Clutch go 1-0 up.
He's got to do it to you. Immediately ripped back into the Nexus. Huni, cold killer right there on his signature rumble, has been banned away so